Kia Niro review. It's hard to imagine a car more conspicuously of its time than the all-new Kia Niro. For a start, it is the most prized family-sized possession, a compact crossover, supposedly as useful as a double-decker pram and 3 times as covetable. And second, it's a hybrid and therefore as overtly voguish and right-on as a soy cashmere jacket. It isn't, though, a plug-in model, for now, at least. Instead, like the Toyota Prius, its electric motor is generally run in parallel with a petrol engine via an automatic gearbox. However, its use of well-established technology doesn't prevent the Niro from potentially standing out. This is the first Kia hybrid to be available in the UK, after all, a notable bullet point when you consider that its parent, the Hyundai Motor Group, has been successfully dabbling in alternative fuel solutions for well over 20 years. It is also not a late-to-the-party adaptation of existing architecture. Instead, the Niro is built on an entirely new platform that is destined to underpin only hybrid and all-electric vehicles. So although it may not be first to the trough, you can bet your bottom dollar that the South Korean manufacturer is here to stay and that this slightly inconspicuous crossover is just the starting point for its ambitions. None of that, of course, necessarily makes the Niro a decent prospect, especially in a segment now so well stocked with conventional alternatives. The new model, starting at £21,295 for the entry-level 1 version, must compete with those head-on if it wants to earn a significant number of stars in this road test. We tested the mid-range 2 model likely to be favored by buyers. In size at least, the Niro is intended to sit below the Sportage in Kia's crossover lineup. Its look, another Peter Schreier design, is familiar. The front end bears the latest evolution of the brand's tiger nose grille and the rear gently tapers over chunky wheel arches. The appearance is conformist, then, but also rigidly unmemorable. The platform on which it sits has been specially formatted to accommodate electrical components, including not only the motor and battery pack in the Niro but also future advancements, such as all-electric models. With extra weight an inevitable factor of such features, attention has been paid to the architecture's mass. The structure is 53% high-strength steel and Kia has employed lighter steel aluminum in the Niro's bonnet, tailgate panel, front bumper and a number of suspension elements in a chassis made up of front McPherson struts and a multi-link rear. Meanwhile, the A and B pillars and wheel arches use a hot-stamped steel to enhance rigidity. The platform's packaging means that both the 45-liter fuel tank and the 1.56 kWh lithium-ion polymer battery, which, at 33 kilograms, is said to be the lightest, most efficient pack yet deployed by Kia, fit side by side under the rear seats. The fuel tank feeds a new 104 bhp 1.6-liter petrol engine and the battery powers a 43 bhp electric motor mounted within the standard 6-speed dual-clutch automatic gearbox. The gearbox, based on the 7-speed unit in the seat, is fundamental to accessing the full potential of the 2 power sources, which work in parallel to drive the front wheels, and is said to be superior to a continuously variable transmission, especially in its responsiveness at higher speeds. The combined peak outputs are claimed to be 139 bhp and 195 pounds-foot, although buyers may be disappointed to learn that those healthy figures are available in first gear alone. The Niro's engine, like that of the Prius, uses the more efficient Atkinson combustion cycle and, also like the Prius, the Niro has a brake energy recovery system to help recharge the batteries. The reduced load on the motor afforded by electrification means Kia can claim combined fuel economy of 74.3 miles per gallon, with CO2 emissions of just 88 grams/km. That's significantly less than is produced by the MPV-shaped Prius Plus. It was with some surprise and a nod of approval that we reviewed the performance benchmarks recorded by the Niro. Kia's 0 to 62 miles per hour acceleration claim for the car is 11.5 seconds, which would be a decent if unremarkable showing from an economy-minded crossover, if it wasn't a significant underestimation of the Niro's true potential. In slightly damp conditions, the car's two-way average 0 to 60 miles per hour time was actually 9.7 seconds, whereas most of the diesel-powered, sub-100 grams/km crossovers we've tested of late have struggled to go under 12.0 seconds. Unlike in a Toyota hybrid, it's possible to hold the Niro in a selected gear at full power, provided you don't activate the kickdown switch at the bottom of the accelerator pedal, and doing so shows that the car is also surprisingly strong on in-gear acceleration. For example, 30 to 70 miles per hour in fourth gear takes 13.7 seconds, which is several seconds quicker than direct rivals can manage. So at full power and with good condition in its high-voltage battery, the Niro earns its corn. But the reason those figures surprised us was that, at anything less than full pedal, the car is smooth but pretty unresponsive and often reluctant to accelerate. The Niro offers you two drive modes for its hybrid powertrain, Eco and Sport, toggled between without the need for extraneous buttons or menu screens, simply by sliding the gear selector right or left when is selected. There is also the option to use the lever to select gears manually, as suggested earlier. However, neither mode gives you the linear pedal response you'd want as part of a normal, everyday use setting. In default Eco mode, the accelerator feels utterly dead throughout almost all of its travel. In Sport, it's a bit more progressive but still seems to save a disproportionate amount of power for the last half-inch of travel. You might expect the impression of ample torque instantly available as you flex your right foot, but rarely do you get it. Kia's decision to use a dual-clutch gearbox with this hybrid powertrain, when other manufacturers use a CVT, has pros and cons. Leave the gearbox in and, because you so often need to ask for full power to prod the car into any meaningfully brisk kind of motion, it typically kicks down anyway and the revs flare, just as they would in a Toyota hybrid. There's no elastic band acceleration effect here, but then the new Prius has largely banished that anyway. Meanwhile, in its unwillingness or hesitation in changing gear, you can tell that Kia's transmission has plenty of thinking to do before responding to a big stimulus. Engine isolation is good, particularly compared with that of the diesel models against which the Niro competes directly, but overall there's just a little bit too much road and wind noise in the cabin for us to declare the car an outstandingly refined car in outright terms.